You know, the more I think about it, vampires are probably my favourite classic movie monster. Although, to be fair, that isn't saying much since Dracula is the only movie monster to have a proper speaking voice. And even then, we have some fucking weird interpretations of him. You have a creature that drinks the blood of virgins, shrouded by the cover of night, and what do you do with him? Put him on Sesame Street! Cause if there's anyone I want to teach my kids counting, it's the man who impaled his own people to ward off enemies. But going to a more mature side of vampires, the show I'm talking about actually starts with...
How can this corpse be my salvation?
And now, I'm hearing voices, like some sort of telepathy.
They're ghouls, and the village of Cheddar has become a den of ghouls.
Oh, for fuck's sake, why do you hire Americans to do British accents? These aren't British accents! Even the quote-unquote sexy British voice you think we all have only makes up about 0.2% of our population. The rest of us still say twat, cunt and wanker. You want to hear an actual British person? Then listen to me! This is what a lot of us sound like! We aren't all the kind of people to go, oh jolly pip pip tally ho and the whatnot. Frankly, you could have been less offensive if all the main character's dialogue was, oh crikey governor! I mean, you have an Irish character as well, but you don't force that guy to say, hell no, brown cow, and oh, the leprechaun stole my potatoes, so he did. That is not a British voice. That is a cat with painful constipation. And I could almost excuse it if it wasn't for the characters' names. The leader of the Hellsing organisation is... Oh, hang on a minute. I didn't even explain the basic plot of the show. 1 second. So this is a world where vampires and zombies roam the earth and a secret organisation run under the Queen of England has to eliminate them all. Do you think you can understand? Because this is an anime. If you could truly say you're up to speed on the plot of one of these, then you're going to crash into a tree. So the leader of the Hellsing organisation is called Sir Integra, but her full name is actually Sir Integra Fairbrooks Wingates bloody fucking hell. Why would someone have a name this long, Hellsing? Christ, I haven't seen that much of a mouthful since an orgy broke out at the hot dog eating contest. The naming convention isn't exactly helped much when we have characters like Ceres Victoria. Ceres is not a name. It is an asteroid floating between Mars and Jupiter. Or maybe the asteroid is an allegory for how huge her tits are! If I may give an origin story, Ceres was turned into a vampire when she was bitten by a beast under the control of Hellsing called Alucard. Of course, this was only possible due to the fact that she's a virgin. There is no fucking way. Despite my incessant ramblings, the show is actually kind of impressive. It's dark and kind of serious, and what the hell is this? Why am I suddenly looking at some anime garbage? I was enjoying myself, Hellsing. I was actually enjoying myself with an anime of all things. Now I'm just looking at a girl with feline ears, reminding myself that cats do like to take shits in the most inconvenient of places. The show gets even more confused from here when the first few episodes show off a rivalry between the Hellsing organisation and the Iscariots, who are also tasked with hunting vampires, albeit their leader is the Pope. So you have some clever, deep-seated religious rivalry, but then, halfway through the series, the Nazis appear! Yeah! So in case you were having any indecisions about who was the bad guy here, don't worry! It's the crazy German Nazi dictator! It's also during the second half of the show that I started to notice something. Every character loves to speak in monologues. I swear, barely a few minutes can go by before one character has to suddenly read out their favourite Edgar Allan Poe verses. The dialogue here is pretty well written, but it adds nothing and just keeps happening. Does the German Nazi like war? Of course he does! But let's have him tell people how much he likes war in just 6 short minutes. In said war, does he want to destroy places of cultural significance? Of course he fucking does! But let's have to do list off every single London landmark alongside a different synonym for destroying on each one just for the sake of emphasis. In case the fact of being a fucking Nazi wasn't enough emphasis. I'm going to say something now that would normally constitute a spoiler since it happens in the final episode, but by my definition, a spoiler has to have some bearing on the plot, and what I'm about to tell you has no bearing on the plot whatsoever. The crazy German Nazi is actually a robot. This means nothing! They don't tease about it, there's no build-up, there isn't even any reason to why he has free will or emotions. He's just a robot. And why did they make him a robot? So it would make realistic sense and I'm putting realistic in quotation marks, for him to survive long enough to make one more final monologue for his death scene. Oh, I'm sorry, was his death a spoiler? Well, the series spoiled itself by having a fucking robot as the villain. I think I'm the least of your concerns. Frankly, if you live in the Hellsing world, your biggest annoyance would be your eyesight. I do not understand why, but almost every character has an eyepiece of some kind. Actually, take that back, I do know why. It's so the light can reflect off the glass at every possible moment. There isn't even light in some of these rooms, there literally isn't anything to reflect off. Well, I guess there is one possible source of illumination. The American director is probably so proud that he created such accurate British voices that the sun is shining out his arse. God, this show annoys me. Between voices that sound like baby seals at the end of a sailor's stag weekend and a plot so vague and cryptic it might as well have been written on a fortune cookie, Hellsing Ultimate is not a show I would consider watching again. So if you excuse me, I've got some travelling to do. There's some people in the world that still need to learn how to say bath. And if not, I guess their arse is grass.